3 years ago, I guess is the math. I don't know how it got started, but we were like, we just want to meet up. Oh, it's because we didn't have space to meet in. And we were like, we're going to meet outside at Laurel Park. And then we were like, well, it's going to be colder, so let's make chili. And then we were like, well, we love competing and winning, so let's make it competitive. And then we were like, oh yeah, we're Christians. We should probably think about how this might have anything to do with Jesus. And so then, like most Christian ideas, we backfilled Jesus into it, and we said, oh, there are people that are hungry. There are people that are hungry, and Jesus cares about hungry people. And so we thought, where are the hungry people in our community, and how can we better serve them? And so we started inviting people in our community who are connected to hunger issues in our community to speak to us. And last year, we had somebody who's one of my favorite people in general, Kim Blass, come speak to us about that. And in addition to just being one of my favorite people, she's incredibly informed. She's brilliant. She went to UNC Chapel Hill, which the only thing that Georgia beat you at was that I think we just got one of your recruits to flip, a Marietta kid, the other day. So don't take that personal. We both live in Marietta. One of us went to Georgia, one went to UNC. I wouldn't say that that's causation, but it might be, Kim. But no, you need to get out in the recruiting field. Anyway, I should stick to the notes, right? All right, so anyway, Kim is brilliant. She's engaged. She has the best title of anyone that I've ever known, which is she is the Chief Impact Officer of Marietta. I want you guys to know, I thank God you don't call me the Chief Impact Officer of Highlands. That feels like a heavy title, but Kim carries it well. She is strong, and she is compassionate. I bet you guys wouldn't be surprised to know that Kim does not work on Sundays, but she came here to see us and to work this Sunday to help us engage around an important issue to all of us in this community, and that is food scarcity in our city. So, Kim, thank you for being with us, and I'm going to turn it over to you. You guys, give Kim a round of applause just for being with us. Yeah, I really overplayed you and made me look fat. So that's my goal.
Okay. I can ignore this microphone and put on this one?
No, you still want to use that if you want people to hear you. That's for people over there to hear.
Can y'all hear me?
iPhone, Android.
Okay. I'm not great at microphones.
No, let's just make it happen.
And as my daughter said, I talk really fast, so I'll try to talk slow. So thank you, David, and all of y'all for inviting me back again this year. I'm excited about the chili, but I'm excited to be here with y'all. As David said, I am the Chief Impact Officer for Marietta City Schools. It is a fun title, and basically it just reminds me that our department is here to make an impact on the school, our students, our staff, our community. And basically we just bring opportunities and resources to the district. So things that are not funded by taxpayer dollars, that is what our department does. I've lived in Marietta for more than 25 years. I'm also a Marietta parent. I've got one sophomore at Marietta High School and one alum who's currently at University of North Georgia. I've had a long career in nonprofit education, primarily in communications and development, but this is the first opportunity I've had to put my skills to work in the community where I live, and so it's really awesome. So I'm very grateful for what I get to do every day. But I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about hunger and what it looks like in Marietta City Schools and also in the greater community. I'll start by saying I met David because of hunger. Some of y'all were probably around during COVID when your church took it on yourselves to bag literally tons of food for the community during COVID. So thank you for that. That was huge. It was amazing, but that's how I got to know y'all's church. I did speak here last year. If some of you were here last year, some of it might be repetitive, but I don't think it hurts to hear things a second time. So how many of y'all know what a free and reduced lunch program is? Are y'all familiar with that? I think most people are. So basically it's a federal program that says if the government doesn't think you earn enough money to buy your kids lunch every day, the government will help support it. And they have a formula that they update every year that tells you how that works. So this year it's multiplying the 2024 federal income poverty guidelines by 1.3 and 1.85. So the family of four poverty level is a household income of $31,000 a year. So to be eligible for free lunch and breakfast, that means a family of four, if they earn less than $40,000 a year, qualifies. For reduced price lunch, it jumps up to $57,000 a year. To put that in perspective, that's about the average starting salary of a teacher in Marietta City Schools. So if they're supporting a family of 4, they're going to qualify for reduced price lunch. About 66% of Marietta City Schools qualifies for that. So about 2/3 of our students qualify for either free lunch or reduced price lunch. And that's just the ones who apply. Like, we know there are more students than that who don't apply. We want everyone to apply, but we know that some kids don't. And there's a lot of reasons why they might not. Sometimes it's pride, sometimes it might be a distrust of government. It could be documentation status, it could be lack of awareness, understanding. Whatever the reason is, we have a really wonderful team in our school nutrition department who work a lot with our school social workers, our district liaisons, just to kind of do outreach in multiple languages, going out into the community. I don't know if any of you have seen the converted Marietta City Schools bus. It's like a really cool blue and white bus, and it's equipped with Wi-Fi, and they go around to like different community events trying to sign kids up for free and reduced lunch. We don't want there to be any stigma to it. We want people to eat, because if you don't eat, then you're not in the position to learn. If you're hungry, you're not going to be paying attention in class. So it behooves all of us in Marietta City Schools if kids can have breakfast and lunch every day. You probably have seen stuff in the news about programs like in school districts where kids maybe get a cheese sandwich or something if they're, if they don't have the money to pay for food. And you see a lot of comments that say like, well, God, why can't the school nutrition, the cafeteria staff just give kids food? Like, how hard is that? Well, they're not allowed to. It's illegal. Like, they have budgets and audits and things, and they can't just give out food. Trust me, if they could, they would, because the staff who work in the school nutrition department are probably the kindest people in the entire world, but they're not allowed to give food away, and it breaks their heart that they can't. So Marietta City Schools has a program called Lunch Angels. Are any of y'all familiar with that? Okay, so basically, our board policy says that a student can charge lunch up to 3 times, okay? And then at that 3rd time, they're cut off for getting school food. They're allowed to get a cheese sandwich, but they're not allowed to get anything else. So we have a program called Lunch Angels that basically buys lunch for kids. So we have donors who give once a week. We have donors who'll call us quarterly and say, what is the balance? Can we pay it off? We have donors who give like $10 a year. Like, it's whatever it takes. It all goes into a big pot. And as students charge their lunch, once they reach that limit, we start paying it off. So it's kind of like a never-ending cycle, but if the goal is for no kid to reach that limit of 3 charges, because we want to make sure kids eat. So we can't use government money to do that. We can't use our taxpayer dollars to fund the school system, but we can use private donations. So I wanted to let y'all know about that program. Other things our district does, sorry, I can't talk. We also run a program called Seamless Summer Option. A lot of people wonder, well, what happens to kids in the summer when we're not providing food? Well, the thing is, we do provide food in the summer. Last summer, we provided 45,000 meals to kids in Marietta. And we work with camps, we work with school programs, libraries, community centers, any place in Cobb County we can serve food. And so all you have to do is call us and say, hey, I'm running a camp, or I've got a vacation Bible school, or whatever it is. And if it's within certain zip codes, we can provide you food. And we don't have to know like what kids are part of the program. As long as the program takes place in Cobb County, we can provide you breakfast and lunch, or lunch and a snack, or breakfast and a snack. And it's completely free. The program, we used to serve hundreds of thousands of kids during COVID with this program during the summer, because the U.S. Department of Agriculture, who manages the program, allowed us to just drop food off. They changed that after COVID and said, no, we think people might be stealing food or giving food to people who don't need it. So we want to make sure you sit there and watch the kids eat their food. Okay, we all know this is crazy, but these are the rules we have to live by. So because of that, the number of meals we served last year dropped to 45,000 from probably at 250,000 during COVID. So that's a lot of kids who aren't eating, because it's called like congregate seating. Like, an adult has to sit here and watch the child eat. They don't want someone taking the food back to a kid's home or taking it back to someone who might be sick. So it really impacts the number of students we can serve. And we're allowed to serve anyone under the age of 18. They don't need to be a student in Marietta City Schools. So one of the things I'll talk about when I make David pass out those handouts in a second is we need volunteers to take food around to people. So the more places we can go and observe people eating, the more food we can get out to people. Most of our schools in Marietta City Schools have some sort of food pantry, either through a social worker referral, you can go and shop, or we've got schools that do drive-through distributions. We have all sorts of models. Two of our newest ones are Marietta Middle School. We're getting one up and running. We're hoping to partner with Must Ministries and possibly Kroger to kind of get that built up. But right now we have a basic pantry there. And Sawyer Road Elementary, which is over on the northeast side of town, has a big one that's opened in the past year. And they do a monthly drive-through distribution that's open to the community. And the key thing is, like, none of this could happen without amazing partners. So the food pantry at Sawyer Road is staffed by volunteers from the YMCA who come every month and pack the food, hand out the food, clean everything up. And an organization called Porch Marietta. How many of y'all are familiar with Porch? Anybody? Okay, a couple hands. I'm gonna make sure you know about them before I leave, so I'll talk about them a little bit more. Basically, they have neighborhoods where they like adopt a neighborhood, and there's like a, for lack of a better word, a block captain who sends out an email to like your neighborhood chat or Facebook group and says, hey, we're collecting food today, leave it on your porch, hence the name. And then someone goes around and picks up the food and drives it to a location. It could not be easier. Literally, you open your front door and you put food on your porch, non-perishable food. So those organizations and then a couple of other private donors provide the food at Sawyer Road. They also, the YMCA purchases food from the food bank. So there's lots of people working to make sure that food gets out. One of the things I mentioned earlier was, that they do at Sawyer Road that I love is they encourage all the teachers and families to go through that line. So when kids are being picked up through carpool, when the families are picking up kids from after school, a volunteer goes up to the car and says, hey, can we give you some food today? So it's not a stigma. It's like, this is here, I'm standing here, I'm not asking you who you are, I'm not asking you how much money you make, I'm just saying, we've got this great food, would you want any for your family? And so a lot of families who maybe would not typically think, oh, I need to drive through this food pantry line, when it's someone, when it's a friendly face from the YMCA on the other side, they'll take that food. We also encourage the teachers to go through the line. As I mentioned, most of them are making salaries that kind of put them in the level that qualify them for free and reduced lunch, so we know there is a need there. And we're hoping by having more families use the line and people seeing their teachers and their staff use the line that it destigmatizes it. It kind of recognizes the fact that we all need help from time to time, and hey, that looks really good. I'd love to take a box of fresh produce from the Atlanta Community Food Bank. I don't have a garden, that looks great. So we try to make sure people know it's available to them and that it's not just for some people, it's really for anybody because we all need it from time to time. Do you mind passing that out? I've got a little handout that I want y'all to take a look at. And this is not an all-inclusive list. It really would be impossible for me to write down every organization in Marietta that is working to alleviate hunger because there are so many. We are really blessed as a community. But I wanted to talk about a few of them. All of these organizations need volunteers. All of these organizations need donations of either food or money. And they also just need your moral support. Like, let people know that these organizations exist because they really do amazing work. And one thing I'll let you know is, like, you'll see, for example, the Pantry on Church. That's the food pantry that operates out of First Presbyterian Church. They have a weekly food distribution every Tuesday night, 5 o'clock. You can drive by First Pres on the square and there'll be lines of people. They serve hundreds of families every week. They do not ask you where your kids are in school. They do not ask you if you are here legally. They do not ask any of those questions. Some of our pantries do ask basic information, like how many kids are in your family, what zip code do you live in, because they have to track this information for the organizations that are giving them grants. So they're not trying to be nosy, but they gather as much information as they have to make sure they're meeting their qualifications. But otherwise, we really want to make sure that these organizations and these food distributions are as inclusive as they can be. Another key point is you don't have to be a member of the YMCA to volunteer. You don't have to be a member at First Presbyterian Church to volunteer at their pantry. One of my friends is a devout atheist, and she is probably the most active volunteer at First Presbyterian Church. And no one questions her and says, well, you can't volunteer here because you don't believe in God. She's there to serve, and she's amazing. So I will emphasize that all of these are open to everybody, and so I have put contact information on here. So if you or your family are looking for a place to volunteer, just email these people. They would love to see you. A lot of these distributions take families. I was volunteering with the Marietta City Schools family the other day at Sawyer Road. It was a dad, 2 kids. So a lot of these kids can help with you. You can come by yourself. Some of these have volunteer opportunities during the day. For example, the Pantry on Church at First Presbyterian, they need volunteers on Tuesday morning to pack everything, and then they need volunteers on Tuesday night to distribute everything. So it kind of just depends on your schedule, but a lot of these have opportunities during the day, at night, weekends, all through the week, unfortunately. So there's lots of opportunity. Some of the other places on here you might not know about. The Atlanta Community Food Bank has an outpost on Austell Road that opened last year. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of down near Dunleaf Elementary School, but it is a grocery store that is open to the community and is staffed with donated food from the food bank. So most of the food pantries around here get food from the food bank, but you can also go and shop at their store, which is really nice. And you have to do some really basic registration, again, just like your name, where you live. They don't ask a lot of questions, and it's nice because it's a way to shop for your own food and get food that your family likes, that you will eat, that is either culturally or health-wise or diet-wise appropriate for your family. So I like to make sure people know about that resource. So I want to share with you, we work with a lot of great partners in Marietta City Schools that run all these programs, and so I asked them, what are the things you would want the folks at Highlands to know? So I want to share with you some of the things they said. Liz, who works for Porch Marietta, says that while food insecurity in our country seems insurmountable, we each have the ability to make a difference for families who have to choose between feeding their kids and paying their bills. Participating in Porch's model of neighbors helping neighbors is an easy way for anyone to get involved, and it makes a big impact for local families who need a little extra help. Cindy Culver, who some of you might know, works with me in school nutrition at Marietta City Schools. She reminds us that we always need volunteers who can assist in increasing access to meals during the summer by delivering meals to camps, apartment communities, etc. Kristen Hansland, who's one of our school social workers, she's worked for the district for decades. She says that one barrier facing many of our families is a lack of transportation to access all of these available resources. We would love to see more organizations making deliveries to key neighborhoods or by volunteers taking the pantry on the road. So with the exception of, you see that where we have Marietta apartments on here, YMCA goes out to several apartment communities across Marietta every week and delivers food. And that is so fantastic for our families who don't have transportation. But all the others depend on transportation. And if you go to any of these distributions, you will see taxi after taxi after taxi picking up food. And we don't want families to have to use, obviously if they don't have money for groceries, we don't want them using money for taxis to go and access the groceries. So I really will emphasize, if you're looking for something volunteer to do, we always need people to drive food. And so if you have a truck, or if you have a couple extra hours to spare 1 month, let these people know, because they would love to be able to deliver more food to families. Gail Battersby, who is the incredible engagement coordinator at the YMCA in East Cobb, she says, we would love a group to adopt a holiday. Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, etc. Making special themed bags that we can hand out to kids when their families come and get food. The YMCA is really big on that, and they work with a lot of organizations like the Cobb Collaborative that at all their food distributions, they want to make sure the family, if their kids there with their parents, they want to make sure the kids have something too. So, and you'll see that at the Muss Ministries distribution at 6th Grade Academy. There's churches who adopt it and do Easter baskets, people putting together bags of school supplies for back to school time. So it's really, the opportunities are endless. If there's something that, you've got a particular, craft you like to make or something you like to do, even though it's not food, these organizations love that because they want to make sure the kids feel special too. So just to reiterate real quick, what can you do? Donate food. Thank you. You did that today, so that's great. All these pantries will take donated food. Most of our schools will take donations of food. Even for our schools without pantries, the counselors keep granola bars and other quick, easy snacks on hand for kids who are hungry. And a lot of our sites will take donated books for children. They'll also take diapers for babies and feminine hygiene products for ladies. So all those things are gathered all the time, and they go very quickly at all of our food distributions. So it's not just food. Donating money and grocery gift cards, if your budget allows. All these partners like to supplement the donated food with fresh dairy, meat, produce. Our school social workers use grocery gift cards to give to families in need, especially after a crisis, like if a family has a fire or something, or they're displaced. Those gift cards always come in really handy to Kroger, things like that. And of course, I mentioned Lunch Angels. One thing I want to point out is a lot of these programs are operating with grants through ARPA. ARPA, I forget what it stands for, but basically it was the COVID relief money that came in a couple of years after COVID. Almost all this money will expire in 2026. That is going to be, I can go ahead and tell you right now, the pantry on church at First Pres, it is going to hit hard. It is going to hit a lot of these organizations hard because they've been dependent on this grant money for the past couple of years. And when it dries up, they're going to have to find the funding to buy it, because some of the food is donated, some of the food is purchased from organizations like the Atlanta Community Food Bank, organizations like Sweetwater Mission, and so when that money dries up, a lot of this food is going to dry up. So just keep that in the back of your mind. It's a very depressing thought. I try not to think ahead to 2026. Volunteer, as I mentioned, everyone needs help, either sorting food, packing food, distributing food, delivering food. They all emphasize to me that none of them could exist without their volunteers. And a lot of people will take groups, and again, a lot of people will take kids. And I can vouch for all these organizations. They're all super well run. They're very efficient. They're not going to waste your volunteer time, I promise. And last but not least, I would just say advocate. Let families know about these resources. Try to destigmatize them as much as you can. You know, we want people to know and take advantage of this. Like, we did not have a huge crowd at Sawyer Road last week. And our school social worker was out there very upset. She's like, I don't know where all the families are. And we know the families need food. So just let people know about it, because we want people to take advantage of these opportunities. If it means, you know, taking a box of groceries that week, if that's the difference between, you know, paying their mortgage or paying their light bill, we can't pay their light bill, but we can provide them food. So I know that is I'm all that is standing between you and chili, I think. So I just want to say thank you so much for letting me come and talk to y'all. I appreciate your interest in learning more about what hunger looks like in Marietta City Schools and what you and your church can do to help. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Kim.